Hamas says it is ready to talk about the next phase of the ceasefire with Israel after it handed over the bodies of 4 deceased Israeli hostages. Meanwhile, Israel released hundreds of Palestinian prisoners. Hamas warned, though, that any attempt to pull back from the truce will only lead to more suffering for the remaining captives and their families. Well, last week, Omer Shem Tov was reunited with his family as part of a hostage release. He spent more than 500 days in Hamas captivity. This emotional video shows the moment he was reunited with his parents. So I want to bring in Leat Unger. She is one of Omer Shem Tov's cousins. Thank you so much for joining me. First of all, how is Omer doing, and how are you all doing now that he's back in your embrace?
Well, I want to say first, glad, thank you for having me. We are euphoric, elated. Omer is also happy to be home. I think that's just what it is. If you can imagine yourself being in captivity, which I don't think anyone can, and finally home, we can take a breath, a sigh of relief on a personal level.
Very few of us can ever imagine what it's like to be in the situation that Omer was in. Has he described what the captivity was like?
So, we have to be very patient with what he shares. We are not really supposed to ask questions, but what he's shared is that he was kept in a tunnel alone for 450 days. Prior to that, he was held with a friend of his, Itai Regev. He shared that he was in a tunnel for 450 days, completely alone, isolated, in the dark, not exposed to sunlight, fresh air, being given seawater to drink, was kept in very, very difficult conditions that even when he shares, it's not, I can't grasp it at all.
For your family and for the families who have been blessed to have their loved ones returned to them, it's got to feel wonderful, but at the same time, it's also bittersweet for those families who are still missing their loved ones. How do you convey a message to those families who are still waiting and hoping and praying that they get to see their loved ones come back to them? What do you say to those folks?
So this week has been extremely complicated, very difficult, complex emotions on a national level. We had the personal, familial celebration of seeing Omer come home along with 5 of our brothers and sisters in captivity. To those who are still waiting, all I want to say is that we are taking a deep breath to sort of revel in this beautiful personal miracle that we received this past Saturday. We're taking a breath, and we will be right back on the fight alongside you. We will not leave you. We will not rest until every single one of our brothers and sisters are home. And I want to echo the fact that those people who fought alongside us for 505 days became our family, and their family members in captivity have become our family members. And I will continue to fight alongside. And I'm sure once Omer, is healed to a certain point, he will jump right back into the fight as well alongside us. So we just have to hold on. And I can't stress enough that one of the things that Omer shared with me when I got to see him was that in the very minimally that he was exposed to media, he did see me fight for him, and that it gave him strength. And so I can say is to the family members who are still fighting, keep fighting, stay strong, because you don't know if your loved ones are watching, and you are giving them strength. So keep fighting, and we will be right there alongside you. And I cannot wait for you all to be reunited with your loved ones as we were on Saturday.
Leat, I think the entire world is hoping and praying right alongside you and those others who still have family members in captivity. I just want to ask you before we go, we also received the heartbreaking, terrible news about little Kafir, little Ariel, and their mother, Shimri. And I sort of feel like with all that's happened since the atrocities on the 7th, that this sort of perhaps changed the way that even people who, I just want to get a sense from you, because I know that when I learned the news, because I had hoped beyond hope that they would be coming home to be reunited with their father and Shiri with her husband. And then when we got the news that they were not going to be reunited, that they in fact had been killed, I want to know if there's something that changed in the way that even Israelis who were perhaps angry at Prime Minister Netanyahu for the way he had prosecuted this up until this moment felt. Can you just give me a sense of that?
I mean, on a personal level, it was horrifying to learn that they weren't coming home alive. I think many of us sort of prepared ourselves for the worst, but to receive the information that they were so brutally killed, strangled. I mean, who can strangle babies? It's a hard day. Yesterday was their funeral, and the streets were lined with everyone, bidding them their farewells. And we're all here for Yelden and their family. Um, we pray as families that we need to put our anger aside and hope that the world will come together to see what Hamas is for who they are. They are brutal, evil people. They're barbarians, and that they will come together to unite, to put pressure on everyone, all the stakeholders involved, and to bring the rest of the people home. Because if they were capable of doing this to two innocent babies, what are they capable of doing to the innocent men who are still being held? And so we pray and we call on all international stakeholders to continue placing the pressure on Hamas, on the proxies, on Qatar, on Iran, on Turkey, to release these innocent human beings who need to come home for healing, and to their families.
It's a beautiful sentiment, Leat. I have a friend who's Israeli in Israel, and she posted something on her social media which I thought was beautiful, which is that perhaps the little Bibas children and Shiri will be seen in much in the same way that the world has come to see Anne Frank in the wake of her brutal murder, that perhaps this will, as you say, shed a light on what has been happening there, and perhaps people's opinions and minds will change. Thank you very, very much for spending some time with us. We're very, very happy for you and your family that your cousin is finally home.
Thank you very much. I hope this sentiment that I feel will soon be for everybody who's waiting for their loved ones in Israel.
Indeed. All right, Leat, thank you very much.